What happens when the very pillars of a community become the architects of its darkest secrets? In the heart of Texas lies a small, tightly knit community, bound together by faith and fellowship. At the center of this community is a charismatic church congregation, revered not just as a place of worship, but as a sanctuary of trust and guidance. It's here, among the devout and the devoted, that our story unfolds. Meet Angela, an 18-year-old high school senior with a radiant smile and a kind heart. She is well loved within her community. Her beauty is not just skin deep, as her spirit and active involvement in church activities make her a beacon of youthfulness and hope. As an African American in a predominantly diverse church, Angela stands out not only for her looks, but for her devout nature and calm, reserved demeanor. Little does anyone know, Angela harbors a secret that runs deep, a truth so foundational to her existence, yet completely hidden from her until recently. A secret about her health, inherited at birth, which she never asked for, but must face every day. How will this truth affect Angela and those around her in a community where every action is scrutinized under the moral compass of collective belief? How does one seek justice in a place where the lines between right and wrong are governed by those who preach them? Before we continue this gripping tale, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and allows us to bring you more stories like this one. Subscribe now so you don't miss out on the unfolding drama and the powerful lessons it holds. Thank you for being part of our community. Now, let's dive back into the story. Angela's life changes dramatically one autumn evening, in the quiet confine of her modest home, where the air carries a lingering scent of her mother's cooking. It's a typical evening, filled with the mundane tasks of homework and household chores, until a small, unassuming bottle of pills catches Angela's eye. Pills her mother takes every day, without fail, yet never speaks of. Curiosity, mixed with growing suspicion over the years, compels Angela to confront her mother. The conversation that follows is charged with emotion, revealing a truth that shatters Angela's understanding of her past, present, and future. Her mother, with tearful eyes and a trembling voice, discloses that Angela was born with HIV, a reality she had withheld to protect her from the stigma and the pain associated with the condition. This revelation doesn't just speak to her health, but to years of whispered doctor visits and hidden medications, all coming sharply into focus. Angela feels a mix of betrayal and devastation, grappling with the weight of a secret that colors her every interaction and every dream she has ever harbored for herself. Amidst her personal turmoil, Angela seeks solace in her church, a place she has always considered a refuge. However, the church is not immune to the imperfections and corruptibilities of those who run it. Several pastors, men esteemed as spiritual leaders and moral guides, begin to show an unsettling interest in Angela. What starts as compliments and concerned check-ins slowly morphs into something more sinister. These pastors, skilled in manipulation disguised as mentorship, start to invite Angela to private meetings, under the pretense of discussing her faith and role in the church. Such invitations are often accompanied by flattery about her beauty and spiritual purity, which subtly crosses boundaries under the guise of paternal concern. Angela, in her vulnerable state, initially perceives these interactions as genuine concern. However, it doesn't take long for the true nature of these meetings to become apparent. The pastors, using their authority and Angela's trust, begin to exploit her naivety and her newfound vulnerability regarding her condition. As Angela navigates this complex web of deceit, she is forced to reckon with the dual nature of her sanctuary, how the very place that offers peace is also the arena of her greatest trials. This duality of the church's role in her life leads her to a critical juncture, sparking a desire for retribution that grows with every whispered compliment and every inappropriate advance masked as divine interest. Angela's discovery of her condition and the subsequent betrayal by her trusted pastors sets the stage for a profound transformation. From a beloved, passive member of her church to a woman scorned with a dangerous secret, Angela's journey into the depths of deception and revenge begins, challenging the very beliefs she has held sacred all her life. As she stands at this precarious crossroad, Angela devises a plan that will not only expose the wolves in shepherd's clothing, but will also bring to light the dark underbelly of a place she once considered her spiritual home. Angela's resolve heartens in the aftermath of betrayal, with each day sharpening the contours of her planned retribution. She meticulously crafts a facade of complacency, masking her inner turmoil and the simmering rage that courses through her veins. This guise serves as her armor, allowing her to navigate the church's corridors with poise while she plots her course of action. Her strategy is calculated and cold. She will turn the pastor's own vices against them. As they continue their covert advances, Angela feigns ignorance and vulnerability, deliberately allowing them to believe they still wield power over her. Each encounter, each inappropriate comment and touch are logged in her mind, a ticking ledger of sins that will soon come to light. She gathers evidence discreetly, recording conversations and saving messages that paint a damning picture of the spiritual leader's true characters. In the shadows of this deceit, Angela also begins to sow seeds of doubt within the community. She starts with subtle hints and ambiguous statements during Bible study groups, planting the idea of misconduct without ever pointing fingers directly. Her approach is to prepare the ground, ensuring that when the truth comes out, it doesn't get dismissed as mere slander by a troubled youth. The turning point arrives during a community retreat, an event meant to foster unity and spiritual renewal. As the retreat progresses, several pastors begin to exhibit signs of illness. Fevers, unexplained rashes, and severe flu-like symptoms. The sudden onset of their sicknesses causes confusion and concern among the congregation, prompting calls for medical intervention. As the community grapples with this mysterious illness, Angela quietly contacts a trusted journalist, someone known for their integrity and courage in exposing uncomfortable truths. She provides the evidence she has collected, not only of the pastor's advances, but also of their current medical condition, linking it to her own HIV status. A fact she publicly discloses for the first time. The story breaks out not as a scandal, but as a heart-wrenching exposé of trust betrayed and power abused. The news spreads like wildfire, first within the church community, then to the wider public. Reactions are immediate and intense. Many are shocked and sympathetic towards Angela, praising her bravery in coming forward. Others are skeptical, casting doubt on her motives and methods. The pastors, faced with the undeniable evidence of their wrongdoing and their health condition, are suspended pending further investigation. The community is rocked to its core, trust once the foundation of their fellowship is shattered. Some members rally around Angela, offering support and admiration for her courage. Others feel betrayed by her methods, viewing her actions as a manipulation of her condition for revenge. The church's leadership is called into question, with demands for accountability and transparency. Families are divided, friendships strained, and the church's future hangs in the balance. Angela watches this unfold, a complex mix of satisfaction and sorrow battling within her. She had achieved her goal, to expose the wolves among the sheep, but at what cost? The community that had raised her, that she loved and believed in, was now broken, possibly beyond repair. Her quest for justice had revealed the dark side of human nature, and now she must face the consequences of her actions, as well as the long road to healing that lay ahead for everyone involved. Her quest for justice had revealed the dark side of human nature, and now she must battle to save the lives, as well as the lives of the wolves. In the weeks following the revelation, the community of the small Texas town finds itself at a crossroads. The church, once a beacon of unity and faith, becomes the epicenter of a moral and ethical storm. Angela's actions divide the congregation into factions, each wrestling with the complexities of the situation. One group stands firmly with Angela, viewing her as a victim who resorted to drastic measures to highlight a grave injustice. They organized support groups and vigils, not only for Angela, but for others who might have suffered in silence. This faction uses the situation to push for reforms within the church, advocating for stronger safeguards against abuse of power and more transparent leadership. Conversely, another segment of the community feels betrayed by Angela's method of exposing the pastors. They argue that while the pastors' actions were indefensible, Angela's decision to use her illness as a weapon crosses moral boundaries. They worry about the implications for HIV stigma and the ethics of her approach, fearing it might set a dangerous precedent. This group calls for forgiveness and reconciliation, emphasizing healing over punishment, yet struggles with the sense of betrayal and the breach of trust. Amid these polarized views, there are those who remain undecided, burdened by the complexity of their emotions and loyalties. They sympathize with Angela but are uncomfortable with her methods, leading to heated debates within families and amongst friends about justice, vengeance, and morality. The legal ramifications of the case begin to unfold as authorities step in. The pastors face charges of sexual misconduct and abuse of authority. Their defense hinges on claiming consensual relationships, despite the clear power imbalances and the ethical violations of their pastoral duties. Angela, on the other hand, faces scrutiny over whether her method of exposure constitutes deliberate harm, or if it was a desperate act of self-defense against systemic abuse. Legal experts and ethicists weigh in, sparking nationwide debates over consent and disclosure in relationships involving significant power disparities. The case becomes a touchstone for discussions on the responsibilities of religious leaders to their congregants, and whether Angela had the right to disclose her condition in the manner she did. Throughout the legal proceedings, the community is forced to confront uncomfortable truths about authority, trust, and the protection of vulnerable individuals. As the legal battles progress and the community struggles to find its new normal, Angela spends much of her time in reflection. She wrestles with the fallout of her actions, the fractured relationships, and the public scrutiny. While part of her feels vindicated in exposing the hypocrisy and abuse, another part is burdened by the chaos that followed. Angela finds solace in writing and starts to pen a memoir, detailing not just the events that unfolded, but also her internal journey. She explores the themes of victimization and revenge, questioning the nature of justice and the cost of truth. Through her writing, she seeks to understand her own actions and the broader implications they hold for victims of abuse. Angela's reflections reveal a deep sense of responsibility and a desire to contribute to a larger conversation about abuse of power and the rights of individuals to protect themselves. Her narrative becomes a powerful voice in advocating for change, not just within her own community, but in wider society. The reverberations of Angela's story continue to echo through the community and beyond, marking a period of profound change and introspection. The Church, at the heart of this turmoil, undergoes significant transformation. Leadership is restructured, with a greater emphasis on accountability and transparency. Policies are put in place to ensure that all members, especially the vulnerable, have safe channels through which to voice concerns. The Church's reputation, initially tarnished, slowly begins to recover as it becomes a model for reform, showing other religious institutions the importance and possibility of change. For the community, the scandal serves as a catalyst for dialogue about issues that had long been swept under the rug. It becomes more common to discuss the dynamics of power and consent openly, and local schools begin to implement programs aimed at educating young people about these critical issues. The community grows tighter in some ways, more wary in others, but undeniably more aware of the need for vigilance and the importance of support systems for the disenfranchised. Angela's life, too, is irrevocably altered. Her journey from a betrayed and vulnerable girl to a symbol of courage and a beacon of change is not without its challenges. She faces personal struggles, dealing with the aftermath of her actions and the ongoing public attention. However, Angela finds purpose in her advocacy for victims of abuse and becomes involved in non-profit organizations that focus on supporting individuals in similar situations. Her memoir becomes a bestseller, used in educational contexts to teach about the complexities of power abuse and the courage it takes to stand against it. Angela's story underscores several profound moral lessons that resonate widely. The first is the critical importance of trust, how quickly it can be built up and yet how easily it can be shattered. Her experience reveals the devastating impact of betrayal by those in positions of power and the ripple effects such actions can have on an entire community. Justice, another central theme, is shown in its many facets: legal, moral, and personal. Angela's actions highlight the challenges in navigating these different forms of justice, especially in situations where legal solutions may not fully address moral wrongs or heal personal wounds. The story prompts a broader reflection on how societies can fairly and effectively handle cases of systemic abuse, while honoring the rights and dignities of all involved. Finally, the complexities of moral judgment in situations of power imbalance are laid bare. Angela's case forces individuals to question their own values and the societal norms that often go unchallenged. It challenges people to think critically about the nature of consent and the ethical responsibilities of those in authority. It also raises questions about the appropriate responses to injustice, how to balance the desire for retribution with the need for rehabilitation and understanding. As the dust settles, the lasting legacy of Angela's ordeal is a community more attuned to the dynamics of power and the vulnerabilities that can exist within trusted institutions. Her story serves as both a cautionary tale and a source of inspiration, urging ongoing vigilance and empathy in the face of complex moral dilemmas. Through Angela's eyes, we see the painful yet powerful journey of speaking truth to power and the enduring human capacity for resilience and reform. Do you believe Angela's method of exposing the pastors was justified given the circumstances? Why or why not? How should communities balance the need for justice with the potential for public stigma surrounding sensitive issues like what steps can institutions take to rebuild trust after significant breaches of integrity like those depicted in this story? How can people effectively hold those in power accountable in settings where authority figures are revered? Should the legal system consider the context of power imbalance more significantly when adjudicating cases of abuse? In what ways do you think the legal outcomes of this case might impact future victims' willingness to come forward? How would you have reacted if you were a member of Angela's community? Can you think of any experiences in your own life where you've observed similar dynamics of power and exploitation? What preventative measures can be implemented in communities to avoid similar situations from occurring? How important is it for educational systems to address issues of consent and power dynamics from an early age? How can communities better support individuals like Angela who decide to speak out against abuse? What role do empathy and understanding play in healing communal wounds after such public scandals? If you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. Your support is crucial as it helps us continue to bring you compelling stories filled with betrayal, deceit, and crime, just like the one you've heard today. Stay tuned for more deep dives into complex narratives that reveal the darker sides of human nature and the redemptive power of truth and resilience. Don't miss out on our upcoming stories of deceit, betrayal, and revenge. Subscribe now and join us as we explore more intriguing and thought-provoking stories. Thank you for your support.